What's up, guys? Here's the highly anticipated deck profile from PushPullHoss, aka John, aka the new legend, who managed to finish 16th place playing Bardock at the Fusion World Offline Regional this weekend on June 1st in Mesquite, Texas. We're going to cover the deck list, of course, as well as his thoughts on the matchups he went into. First of all, congrats on your success this weekend, especially playing what most people would consider a highly questioned leader in the context of the current format. I know that you're in fact a consecutive season God rank player on the digital client, and they have a very high win rate with Bardock averaging between 70 and 80% these past 2 seasons. I think everyone would love to know why Bardock.
Absolutely. So I've played Fusion World since set 1, and I was cooler main at the beginning, if you can see from my playmat. But Bardock is my favorite Dragon Ball character, so I knew the moment that they added him in set 3 that was going to be the leader I was be playing, and I've been playing him since then. I haven't played any other leader, so I've enjoyed it a lot. But I think I'm not alone in saying after set 4 and all the hype about Baby, Black has kind of fallen under, and people have been undervaluing it, and in general it hasn't been doing as well at events. However, I've always managed to find a way to make Bardock work because Black is just a beautiful toolbox of cards that we get to work with. But in particular, this last set, we got some really great cards that I think really should have pushed us more at the top of the meta, but with all the other current decks right now and just people not being interested in investing in Black, we have had some toppings, but what I really wanted to be in that pie chart with Bardock, as he is my leader, and so I was really grateful to have people to test against and help me prepare for that for the Mesquite, and I was able to get the top 16 thanks to everybody and a lot of hard work. So it was a great feeling to get top 16. I'm happy to get Bardock in that pie chart, and I'm happy to share it with y'all.
All right, can confirm, guys, he bullied me excessively at the kitchen table. All right. Let's cover the deck list next, and then we'll go through each matchup, hoping to provide some insight for all of our fellow Bardock enjoyers. All right, John, let's go over your list.
Absolutely. So Bardock is my favorite character in Dragon Ball, but there's other reasons to run this leader. First of all, having the win attacking, gaining 5k, becoming 25k swing makes a huge difference in so many matchups. And then also having the ability to control what you draw into with your leader ability, bottom decking cards that you don't need. Makes a huge difference and gives this deck a level of consistency that some other Black decks can struggle with. So let's go ahead and get started. So obviously 4 of super combos. We went ahead and chose Bulma for the pretty gold. Now this next card is the secret sauce. Not a whole lot of Black players are running it, but if I see this card, I know I'm going to win 100% of the time. That is Zunoma. And if you haven't seen this card before, let me show it to you. It is a 1-drop 15k, 5k, that on play when you're moving your marker, you get to rest a battle card. This is huge into so many matchups, like Satan City, you remove a marker, you can rest the sharpener, swing into it, and then afterwards you still have a 15k body on board. It's even better, in my opinion, better than times 10 because it even has combo power on it.
All right, guys, this is obviously a joke. Let's get that card out of here.
No, definitely not run that. But what we definitely do run 4 of is we do run 4 Fascia, a cantrip that, because as Bardock's crew, gets to work with our ability. We also run 3 Giru, obviously mostly for Satan City, but there are a lot of great 1-drops out there that this can deal with. This next card, though, is a mandatory 4 of. It is the main reason that you will win games. That is Chi-Chi. Just plain and simple, this is, if not the best, the second best card in the entire deck.
A non-negotiable 4 of.
Absolutely. Next card we have is Hercule as a 4 of. This is obviously a great card for being able to hit any of our 1-drops, but I will tell you in almost 90% of my games, anytime I'm playing a Hercule, it's to pick up a Chi-Chi. We also went ahead and ran 3 times 10. Personally, I normally prefer 2, but going into this event, I was anticipating running into Satan City, and you do have to see these cards if you want to win against Satan City. So I ran it as a 3 of.
Would you say you would have reduced it?
I think if I were to go back in time, I would keep it at 3 for that, but I will tell you that in a lot of matchups, it was kind of frustrating to see that card over and over. But it is what it is. You never know. I could have never, if I run it at 2, you can never see it. So it's not the worst call. We also went around and ran board trunks, this is another mandatory 4 of. As in a lot of matchups, it will win you the entire game if you can just get it to stick on board. And even if you don't get it to stick, forcing your opponent to spend resources to remove it can pave the way for your other cards to stick around for a lot longer.
Guys, I will say I am not a black player myself, but as we were playtesting, hours of playtesting, we quickly realized that this Trunks is incredible, provides basically an Omni Taunt. If your opponent doesn't get rid of it, then you can start building a board quite rapidly, and then they're probably losing. Anyways, let's continue.
Absolutely. So this next one's kind of an interesting one. We are still running the Sun Goken GT. So this is mostly for the Jiren matchup. We obviously do have cards now that can deal with the 4-drop Jiren, but this is important to getting rid of that Jiren on curve, as if it sticks around, it can cause major problems. That being said, it's not only for Jiren. Using it for the 4-drop Daima promo, blue Daima promo, is also as kind of our emergency button. That's obviously not how we want to get... We don't want them to play it again, but it is an emergency button to remove them from the board. So I previously had this at 3, but I kind of had faith that if I ran a Jiren players may avoid playing that 4-drop with the anticipation we'd play this. So ran it at 2, and we were happy with it.
It also helps get rid of the 4-drop adult Gohans and other menacing 4-drops, such as, like, obviously the Secret Rare SS4 GT Goku and the Black Mirror, which John has definitely found this card to be very helpful in as well.
Absolutely. Just a great emergency button if you don't see the other cards to remove it. We also run 4 of Sun Goku GT. This is a mandatory 4 of, because as you can see, we're not running Kakarot. This is one of our main forms of marker generation, especially when going first, because with this deck, we do like to go first. And if we can get this on turn 3, it puts us in a fantastic position for the rest of the game. So obviously, we do run that as a 4 of. The next 4 of we'll be talking about is obviously the Secret Rare. We do run this card at 4, even though it speaks for itself. It's our only black Secret Rare, so you kind of have to run it at 4, but it does provide a lot of value. First of all, in the early game, being able to cheat it out early and forcing removal upon it. Mid game and late game for recovering your hand. A lot of games that you can lose as Bardock come from just getting a small hand late game, and this kind of is the answer to that. Especially if you're able to get a Trunks out and protect this, the game can really get out of control for your opponent. The next card we run 3 of, that is Glorio. I previously had this as a 4 of, because once again, I don't have to talk too much about Glorio, you know how great it is. But when trying to condense space, make sure I had a 50-card deck to make sure my consistency was good, that was one of the cards I just was able to reduce down to 3. Obviously, still good for all the reasons that it forces on your opponent to play around it.
So about Glorio, can we just talk about just a little bit as well about the psychological impact that Glorio has?
Absolutely. One of my favorite parts about Glorio. And the benefit of once again, being in a black deck, even if you don't run Glorio, people knowing that you could have Glorio makes a huge difference. But even if the benefit of running Glorio is if turn 2 they still have their marker and you play this and draw, they almost always will want to burn their marker afterwards, regardless if it's the right turn, because they don't want you to play another Glorio out.
And then when you generate your own marker, that just puts you hella ahead, right?
Exactly. And once again, that's the beauty of black going first. Anytime that you can, once your opponent burns their marker, as long as they're not green, and even if they are green, the fact that you are technically going to be an energy ahead for the rest of the game, or 2 energy ahead, pardon me, because of the marker, makes it so that you can really make some aggressive plays and just outvalue your opponent. Next card we run 2 of is Great Ape Baby. This is a fantastic card. I wish I could run it at more of, but once again, with the deck size, we're kind of stuck with it. That being said, you only really need to play 1 in a game. Normally late game or on curve after playing your 3-drop, playing Great Ape Baby into a Trunks, making it so that your board's protected, is really tough for any deck to deal with. And then obviously its unique form of removal, getting rid of a lot of some similar threats in red, for example, getting rid of the Tagami number 3 and the 3-drop top Vegeta, makes it
the one that swings 50k, right? Can't be KO'd.
Exactly, can't be KO'd, but can be placed in combo area. It's also just fantastic. Another reason why I normally don't feel a need to run 3x10 running 2, because this is an excellent form of removal that can stay on board and just consistently cause your opponent grief.
You know, I got to say, a reminder to you guys, when we were testing, personally, I do play a lot of blue, and sometimes John needs that practice. So we got to kind of note here that these adjustments were made probably, and John can confirm himself, in anticipation of playing a lot more Sane City than he actually did, which we'll go over more of. Hence the Girus, the 10 times, and obviously Grade 8 Baby is just great at tossing those Videls into the combo area so we never see them again, right?
Absolutely, or even the Sharpeners. Getting rid of any Satan City is important, so it is amazing.
Please continue.
Absolutely. So next we have 3 of the Double Striker. Kind of wanted to run this at 2, but in tandem with the Chi-Chi having that ability to get that kind of crazy removal, or getting that crazy removal for so little, swinging at 55 double makes a huge difference. It's obviously also our end game. The nice thing about running 3 is that if you get one on your starting hand, you can feel pretty comfortable about charging it and knowing you'll probably get into your find your other 2 using your leader ability.
Prior to getting Chi-Chi into your deck, didn't using the 5-drop Double Strikers removal, didn't it feel like it diminished your hand a good bit?
It was pretty detrimental. If you were doing that, you pretty much needed to win the next turn, because it just would set you so far behind. If you had a board, it didn't really matter, but normally when you're playing this card, it's after your opponent has removed everything and they played a big body that you can't remove. This next card is the leader locked Bardock, which is amazing. Another reason why I do believe Bardock is the best black leader. If you're not familiar with it, you combo a card from hand and when attacking, and it does have to be this battle card. It's not like this one, Activate Battle, but you'll go ahead and you'll pop a 4 or less, which is huge because black really struggles with 4s, like we see with like some Goten being in the deck. These are our 2, like, there's not very limited options to deal with anything that's a 4, but this pops it. But then it also is critical, so swinging 40 crit, normally tossing a 10k, swinging 40 crit makes a huge difference. Opponents will either take it, and even better, you're closer to netting the game, but most of the time they will try and get out of it, because taking crit is not fun for anybody. So I will say this card's incredibly important into the blue and black matchup, a lot of important 4-drops, but we can go more into that later. At the moment, this is the card, in retrospect, that once again, it's up there with Chi-Chi. I probably should have run this at 4, but it is the new SR Gogeta. So we ran it at 3. Once again, this card single-handedly wins so many matchups. First of all, place and drop is an incredible effect that no cost is often the boss card you go into on your 5 energy turn with marker. The fact that it creates a marker is crazy, and then the fact that it wins yellow matchups so hard. And then on top of that, it does shut down a lot of great cards, such as Namku Goku, shutting down the 3-cost promo, shutting down the blue restanders like the Vegetos, makes a massive difference. So that is the card that I probably should run it for. The last card we have in our deck is Ultimate Sparking. So Ultimate Sparking is kind of a fun card. I've not been a believer of Ultimate Sparking, and honestly, kind of still not a believer in it. However, it was for one particular matchup. Broly BR is a really difficult matchup for black. It is winnable, but things can get out of hand really quickly. And in general, as you can tell, our marker generation is super limited between the 3-drop 6 and Secret. So it's tough to find a time sometimes. I've always thought it's tough to get this card out. However, into Broly in particular, if you're there, most of the time, they're going to get that 9-cost out before you can have Gogeta out to kind of protect your face or deal with their board. So having an option to be able to remove it makes a huge difference. Or not remove it, but stop it and buy yourself a turn. And then once again, it's returnable by Hercule, so it's a card I'm not a huge fan of, but it was a card that was important for the list in order to not have any auto-lose matchups.
I think previously in our play testing, you used 3-drop Restand Bardock as your one of over this card. when trying to make space for things. Is there any particular reason?
So I do love the 3-drop Bardock. Number one, it's a beautiful card. I put a lot of work into getting them, but unfortunately, even though it's a fantastic card, if I felt like the matchups that helped me win were matchups that I was already winning, whereas Ultimate Sparking was more of a card that would save me from matchups I was going to lose. So that was a decision I made. I'll tell you how I feel about it once we talk more about my matchups, but at the time, I think it was the best call I could have made. So I would have loved to have it in the deck, but it unfortunately didn't have a place with all the rest of the tools.
All right, cool. We've gone over the list. We're going to start talking about the matchups in a second here. All right, guys, we're going to just briefly cover all the matchups and how you felt going into each of them, his responses, all that good stuff. So in round one, he went against Namku. How'd you feel about that one?
So I've actually played against Carl multiple times that deck, so I felt pretty comfortable going into that list. That being said, going pretty late into the game, I did not see any super combos. So at one point, I was forced to eat a double strike Destructo Disc at 65, which with no supers, I couldn't afford to block, taking me down to 2 pretty early. So I kind of had to figure out how to win the game from there. I was very fortunate that I did have a Chi-Chi, however. So fortunately, that following turn, I tried to save my hand as much as I could, but I was able to play a Chi-Chi on board that he was not able to answer. So when he went for the game the following turn, the Chi-Chi provided me just enough combo power. It was he swung at 90, I got to 95 thanks to the Chi-Chi, and I was barely able to close that game out. But once again, not winnable without Chi-Chi.
Cool, and then round two, looks like you won against Yellow Vegeta.
Yeah, so Yellow Vegeta is a very strong deck. However, Gogeta does a really great job of shutting it down, especially if you can get Protection Trunks out. In that game in particular, I was able to get the first Gogeta out, which the opponent wasn't able to answer. And then I was able to play out Protection Trunks and an SS4. And then from there, the game kind of snowballed. I actually managed to get out all Gogetas that game, so I was able to win that one pretty commandingly, fortunately.
Okay, and then round three, you won against Janemba.
Janemba, once again, the game plan was get out the Gogeta and kind of shut it down. So once again, when you're playing into these yellow decks, now that we have, previously I was an advocate of going fast, but now that we have Gogeta, you can afford to kind of slowly awaken, take selective hits, because once you get Gogeta out, you force your opponent to answer it. When I did play the first Gogeta, I didn't swing with it. I wanted him to have to spend the energy to rest it, which he did have to do, using his leader ability and then using Blue Power Awakening to remove it, which was kind of scary. But fortunately, I did have a second one in hand. Once again, played it. He rested it, did not have Blue Power Awakening, and was forced to stun it, which meant the following turn I was able to play Trunks and SS4. And once again, because his leader is no longer restanding energy and he's just not getting as much value, you're just able to outvalue by the end of the game and win. So,
yeah, sounds like getting rid of Gogeta as a yellow deck is quite a pain. All right, let's talk about your round 4 matchup against Droids. Actually, John did play against the winner of the entire event on Droids.
Absolutely. So that was a matchup in the moment I was pretty excited for. In my testing, Droids is almost 100% win rate. You just place down the 2-cost Trunks early, and sometimes they either will warm welcome it, or if they're running the 3-drop Gohan, the KO, like Mandatory Awakening KOs it. But even then, if they answer it, you still can just play out another one with Grade 8 Baby. You start filling board. Green really struggles to get rid of Trunks, and in general, get rid of your entire board. You can kind of just snowball the game away. That matchup in particular, though, I didn't see Trunks on curve, and in general, I didn't see all the cards I wanted to see, but I won't discount my opponent. He played very well, and he managed to beat me pretty convincingly. And that was the moment I really wish I had this card. Ultimate Sparking did not do me any good there, so that was a moment where I kind of wish I had that card. And even the previous matchups, Ultimate Sparking didn't play a big role in them. They were normally just charged, which is nice to at least force your opponent to acknowledge you have Ultimate Sparking. But That was a rough game. That I would have loved to go back and try it again, but it is what it is.
Yeah, guys, in our countless hours of playtesting, I gotta say, as a non-black player, but just having witnessed all these games, I don't think there's a more one-sided matchup than Bardock into droids, because just on paper, if they don't deal with the trunks, you just start setting up board with multiple SS4s. Your draws every turn, end of turn, just get crazier and crazier, and you're so aggro they can't deal with your board. It's just all over. But that droids winner was really, really good at the game.
Yes.
So we got to give it to him.
Yeah. Double Napas and triple twins is rough to go into, that's for sure.
Yep. All right, cool. Then looks like round 5, you got a win against buutenks.
Absolutely. So once again, most of the tournament was, or I'm assuming it felt like it was mostly boos, but I haven't seen the pie charts yet, but it's a matchup I do feel pretty confident into. It is scary when they start making you pitch all your pieces, but once again, once you get Gogeta out, you're less scared of the 5-drop combo to restand and go for game. And then once again, it's the same song and dance. Get your 2 cost out to protect your 4 costs and to start filling board while dealing with theirs. And a lot of boo players, they'll run the 6-drop secret rare to deal with Gogeta, but because we get this out a whole turn earlier thanks to marker manipulation, especially if we don't rest it, they can't remove it, and then that following turn we get the trunks out, and now they really can't remove it. We really just force them to... It becomes so hard and expensive that it really swings the game in our favor. We can still lose if they can make us pitch all our cards from hand, which the boo player was playing was very good. He did make me try and pitch as much as he could, but at the end of the day, my board was just able to overwhelm his ginormous hand.
How important do you think it is to get Trunks GT out there early and then keeping him out there?
So that's the fun thing. Getting him out early is great, especially if you have 2 in hand, because normally they will do like 1-cost Frieza or Janemba to rest it and start swinging into it. And if they don't they don't invest a lot, then you can protect it. But I think good players will tend to try and swing at 30 to force you to let it go. But at that point, they're hurting themselves, because you can be okay with letting it go and then playing out another one, or with a grade 8 baby, or just hard playing it out. And just at a certain point... they will run out of tools to keep resting things and KOing things, and normally it's late game, and it goes downhill real quick for them.
Cool. Looks like in round 6 we faced Dedku, or some people like to call him Halo Ku, aka Saiyan City.
Yeah, so that was I did end up losing that matchup, unfortunately, which is tough, as I built my deck mostly to handle that deck. I thought I'd be running into more. I do believe that is a winnable matchup, especially into most players. You just consistently remove board over and over and over, and eventually they can no longer recur, and you manage to just eventually win out, especially if you get an SS4 late game when they're stuck peel-off looping, because they can't afford to return the rest of their engine. That being said, my opponent was very skilled. As early as turn 3, he started getting out the 1-cost Fidel into the 2-cost, returning a peel-off, playing the peel-off, getting a slash, swinging, bouncing the 2-drop back to hand, protecting his 2-drop. That 1-drop and 2-drop, he kept the entire game and continued to abuse me with it. And unfortunately, you can't remove what's in the opponent's hand as a black player, so we were forced...
Maybe someday.
Maybe. But in any case, I wasn't able to answer, and he played very well. I fought as well as I could, and I think I put up a good showing, but at the end of the day, I wasn't able to outvalue the peel-off looping.
Yeah, it's really tough to outvalue any blue deck, honestly, but it sounds like the game plan is still war of attrition. I think you've placed enough emphasis on having to remove all Saiyan City cards on board every turn, right?
Absolutely. And I do believe a huge part of that matchup is just giving yourself the tools to deal with it. We have the times 10, we have the Giru, we have the Hercule to recur those. We have the 4-drop, or we have the 5-drop Bardock that can pop the adult Gohan really easily while pressuring crit, which is a big... This is the card I have to see or I really want to see into Satan City, especially if you can get it out early. And they should remove it, but if they somehow don't manage to remove it, maybe you're able to get a trunks to stick somehow. There are paths to success, but a truly skilled Satan City player will normally find a way to peel off hope it out.
Right. I think a common thing I hear though from a lot of players is why bother getting rid of those one drops and teching in as much one drop removal as you have here into that matchup, and they can just we've all seen Satan City just spawn it all out again. What's the deal with that?
So it makes a huge difference because even though it does feel like they're just infinitely returning their stuff back to hand, it's not infinite. It is limited. If peel off returns something that's not peel off, that they're not getting that peel off back. So especially into the late game, if you're able to remove a lot of their pieces and they're stuck with one peel off in hand, and you've managed to remove their 2 cost Videls as well, they can't afford to grab anything that's not peel off because that is their source of, that's the way they're going to win the game, is by peel off looping, and they can't afford to grab anything else, which is cursed, but that's just how it is. So you just have to remove it anytime, even if it's like turn 1, if they play Erasa, which has no other thing other than Saint Street Trait, you have to remove it because every card you don't remove is one less energy that they need to, or one less body that they need to play to start short herring, or to Sandman extra your cards away. You have to do whatever it takes to remove their entire board every turn, and that just means getting a little fortunate with what you're drawing into, but a lot of it's just making sure that you have the pieces that you know that can remove it. Sometimes even bouncing back. Goten Trunks, Sun Goten Trunks Sun Goten bouncing back like a small body with that is pretty awful, but it can make a difference in some cases.
All right, cool. Looks like that's your only other loss. That's just 2 losses here. And then let's look at your. Let's talk about your 7th and final round here.
So I played against Vegeta. So obviously got a lot of love this set. Very scary leader. That being said, we do have a game plan against him. It's this card, the 5 cost right here, the crit. The biggest thing into Vegeta is no matter what it takes, you cannot let them. They're another deck. Blue deck cannot let them have a board. You have to remove it every turn. So the biggest play that normally scares me as a black player into Vegeta is when if they're going second, if they burn their marker to play the 4-drop promo. At that point, I would love to play the 5-drop to just KO it and then also swing crit into leader, which is a fantastic answer in later energy. But at that point, if they're burning marker to do that, your best answer is the Sun Goten. But the biggest thing is just consistently removing their board because they're going to remove your board right on back. And if they somehow, it just becomes a game of who fails to remove whose board first. Unfortunately, when we get to late enough energy, we're able to drop a Trunks or the Grade 8 baby in a Trunks or an SS4. Just if you can go wide enough, you can kind of whittle them down. That game in particular was particularly interesting because I was able to burn marker to get my own marker after creating it going first to play the Bardock, and he was able to stick around and help remove his smaller bodies and keep me in the game. So we were able to take that one. It was a very close game, but the 5-cost Bardock put in a lot of work.
Awesome. Very nice. We finished talking about the matchups. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we probably give out some shout-outs to our locals from here in Dallas?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is, once again, people, like I said in the beginning, people have been not respecting black. I think black's in a great spot now, especially into yellow. With these upcoming hits coming up, like depending on how hard things get hit, I do believe black definitely has a strong place in the meta.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to talk about what's coming up next. We've got the Shallot and Giblet starters coming out. Is there the crowd wants to know, is there a chance you'll be moving from Bardock to Shallot, or are we going to keep that a secret for now?
Oh, we'll keep it a secret for now. I do love my Bardock, but Shallot's definitely an exciting leader. So,
all right, cool. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for now. Obviously, we'll hope to see more of John around. All right. Oh, yeah, of course, let's give out some shout-outs to our boys who have helped with playtesting. Really, really strong players. Your boy Vic placed 4th at the event using Broly BR. Great player. We've got one of our favorites, Jackie, who plays extensively. Boo, as well as some Broly and Jiren himself. He helped out a lot too. You might notice that John did not end up facing those matchups in particular, but regardless, facing a diverse variety of matchups during playtesting is just so important. Shout out to our boy Devin, who also picked up Broly recently and is a droids enjoyer as well, who helped John prepare. And then I think that's it for the most part. But yeah, so that's it from John, aka PushPullHoss, aka the new legend. He normally wouldn't do stuff like this, but I encouraged it. So, and everyone just keeps asking about this stupid Bardock list. But hey, yeah, I don't know. Take it. Go play the game.
You all. So appreciate it. Happy you got to put him on the pie chart, and excited to see what else Bardock can do in the future.
All right, thanks guys. See ya.